Welcome to the Room at the Table podcast. I'm your host, Kimberly Milo. So good to see you. So awesome. This is technically my first episode with a guest. So you're like kicking it off. So I'm so excited.
I am so excited.
So welcome to Room at the Table podcast, everybody. We're here with Kyia Mochitani. And she is someone that I met through R12, which is an organization some of you may know of. It's for mothers and daughters who are Christians, and the daughters are in high school, and we are a service organization. And there's many chapters, many in Southern California, one in Dallas. But I met Kyia not just through that. She is in that now, but I actually met her before that a couple of years earlier when my daughter, my youngest, was in junior high. And we have a mutual friend. And it was a total God thing because I had just had it on my heart. I think Emily was finishing 6th grade, and all my other kids, she's the youngest of 4, as you know, and they had all had a middle school like Bible study, and she didn't have one. We had switched churches and stuff. And I kind of realized like, oh my gosh, I'm running out of time and I need to find someone for her. Like, you know what, they didn't have one at the church we were at. And so I just started praying about it. And was like, okay, Lord, like, if you want someone for her, like, guide me, like, where can I find this person? And I went to, at the time, there was a election going on, like a local election. And I went to, one of our dear friends was running, and I went to his like election. It was like a campaign party. And I ran into an old friend that I almost never see. And that was Betsy. And we just started catching up and talking. And then I don't even know why I mentioned it to her, because I mean, we don't even have kids the same age like as Emily. And so we just started talking about our kids, and I just, oh, Emily's good. She's in middle school now. I'm actually looking for someone to lead a middle school Bible study for her. And she's like, oh, really? She's like, I think I actually have the perfect person. Like I never see her. Like I literally never see her. So it was just one of those guys. I was like, oh my gosh. And then I had to circle back and say, send me her name and her information. And then it just like went from there. And so I'm so grateful to have met you.
I'm so grateful too. I mean, I can't believe Emily's a sophomore now. I was talking to a friend. I'm like, I used to lead this group and they were 7th graders and they looked like babies, and now they're sophomores, and it's crazy to see just their transformation, but them also blossom into like who they really are. And so
yeah, it was so good. So that was the beginning. And then you pulled in a good friend who I'll have on the podcast, Callahan.
Yeah.
And so anyway, it's just been from there. And so we did the 2 years. You did the 2 years, I should say. I think I hosted it, but you did the 2 years, you and Cal. And then I was like, okay, they're so good. Maybe they'll come to R12. And then we had you guys be our student mentors in R12 for the girls. And that's been this past year and then starting this year. So anyway, you're a light, and you're an inspiration to the girls, especially, obviously to the moms. We all love you guys and find you so endearing, but the young girls, man, they really need Christian role models to look up to and say, I can live like that. I can follow Christ, and I can date, good guys, and I can get engaged to good men, and I can, figure out my path. It doesn't have to look like everyone else's path. It's what God wants for me is what's best, and making your decisions around his will. And so anyway, you're just a beautiful example of that. So let's just dive in. I feel like I'm totally
let's do it. You're so sweet.
Okay. Tell me, like, let's just start with your background. Well, no, I want to ask you a couple of fun questions first. Okay. I'm obsessed with going to coffee shops and like doing my work there. So what's your favorite drink if you go to a coffee shop?
Okay. I am not a coffee drinker. I do not love coffee.
Okay.
And
I don't love coffee.
I drink an energy drink every day. That's like my caffeine. And I'll go to a coffee shop with Cal. She is a coffee connoisseur, loves coffee shops. But honestly, I am a slow work at home or like in this little studio space that I have kind of person.
Okay. So that one is a no-go, that question, because you don't really like so you don't really go unless you're going with like your bestie. Okay.
I don't.
So then how about this? Like, what's your favorite way to spend a lazy afternoon?
My favorite way to spend a lazy afternoon would be, I love sitting on my computer and working on my podcast, or just, I love writing. I don't know why. I love writing poetry.
I didn't know that.
So sometimes I'll just sit and write, or I'll sit and just edit, and there's always something to do. If not that, then definitely watching football with Jake. That's a big, it's, one of our favorite things to do.
That's cool. That's a good hobby to have together, because that's a lifelong thing you're going to be doing. She's about to get married, everybody. So
Yeah.
okay. So those are the light questions. And then here's kind of a little, well, it could be deep or shallow. And I got this from another author podcast. I'm not an author, but another podcaster who also is an author. I heard him ask this question to an author that I know. I'm reading his book, and I thought it was such a cool question. So to know you right now is to know what?
To know me is to know that I love the Lord. I think that, and this is like a question that I keep asking myself is, especially with everything that's going on in the world and all the heaviness, the question I keep asking myself is, when I'm out at the grocery store, when I'm out walking by somebody, how can they know just by looking at me or seeing me that I just love Jesus? And it's kind of going back to the whole theme of R12 this year, is just being set apart. And what does that look like? And how can I physically be that? Not necessarily, it doesn't have to say an I love Jesus shirt, but like, what about me sets me apart in my day-to-day life? And I think right now, my biggest thing is, if you know me, I want you to know that I am so set apart. I love Jesus. I am all about Jesus in everything that I do, eat, sleep, and breathe. And I want that to definitely be known.
That's so cool. I love that. I absolutely love that. Okay. So let's get started and we talked about how we met, and I've asked you some good questions, but I want to, just to get to know you, kind of lighthearted, but I want to know your story with faith, because I know some of it. I probably don't know all of it. I know you've actually given your testimony to one of the grades, or no, two of the different grades.
All of them. Yeah.
Oh, all of them? You've done it to all of them? Oh, I had no idea. Awesome. Okay. So you've done it to all of them. So now you can tell us here your testimony from the very beginning, like, middle school or whenever that was when you were exposed. So you're
So So I grew up in a non-Christian household, and still to this day, I am the only follower of Jesus. And I think my story begins in middle school. I grew up right next to Saddleback Church. Saddleback Church was, everyone went to junior high ministry, then everyone went to high school ministry. It was a big thing. And I remember all my friends on a Friday night were all going to go to JHM. And I said, hey, Mom, hey, Dad, can I go to JHM? And my mom said, sure, go for it. So I went, and it was my first time listening to worship music. It was the first time I really prayed the prayer, Lord, I gave you my heart. I love you. I want relationship with you. I accept you into my heart. And from that moment on, man, I just felt like there was something different. I felt peace. I felt freedom. I had the chills, everything. So then the next week comes along, and I said, hey, Mom, can I go to JHM again? And they said, no, they're brainwashing you. You can't go 2 weeks in a row.
Wow.
And so I go, when you're in middle school, there's some people who want to rebel from their parents. But for me, I was like, my mom knows best. I want to listen to my mom, but I couldn't shake what I felt. And so the next week comes around, and I said, hey, Mom, I'm going to go over to Lindsay's house. So I went over to Lindsay's house, but then Lindsay's mom took us to church. So I found a way to go. I wasn't necessarily lying, but every week I would find a way to get to JHM.
Wow.
Then summer camp came around. I wasn't allowed to go to summer camp. Winter camp came around, wasn't allowed to go to winter camp. And my whole friend group was in a life group together, but I was the only one not in this life group. And I remember asking one of them, I said, hey, can you ask your life group leader if I can have a Bible? If she has an extra one, I don't know, if there's just if she can help in any way, I want a Bible. And she said, yeah, sure, I'll ask. And so she actually gave me the week by week lesson plans that they were doing with their life group that I was able to do independently. And then she also gave me my first, like, the teenage Bible, and highlighted every verse and like literally left note cards, sticky notes hanging out of it. It looked like there was a Bible that was being used for like years. It was so filled up with just so much stuff that
That's amazing.
Yes. And so I still have that Bible to this day. It's so special to me. And I still have a note in my Bible that said like February 6th, 2017 or 2016. I opened the Bible for the first time today. I love you, Jesus. Like, and I still have that note to this day. So it's really special to me. So then from that point on, I guess, yeah, we're still in middle school.
So you're like
secretly
12? Are you like 12 or 13? Would you say?
Yeah, I think I'm 13.
Grade or? Okay.
I think I'm 12 and maybe I just turned 13 in the middle of this.
Got it. Okay.
But yeah, 7th grade. And then
such rocky years, if I can just interrupt for a second, like, I mean, like, gosh, middle school, I would not go back. So,
I think when you asked me, can you lead a group of 7th grade and 8th grade girls? I was like, immediately yes, because I've been through the ringer and have felt so low. And especially when all of your hormones are changing and girls are mean and boys are boys and all, like, life is just a little bit harder and things feel bigger. Yeah. So I definitely have a heart for that age. But well, fast forward, I think now that was 7th grade. I had like this drawstring bag that I had, and I would put my Bible, all like the week by week cards, highlighters, notes, everything, and I'd put it in this drawstring bag and I'd hide it in the back of my closet so nobody could see. So you're then like
literally you're hiding your faith.
Yes, I totally was.
Joy and like stability, and you're having to hide it. It's so fascinating.
Totally. I would FaceTime my friend. We'd read the book of John together, and I would read a paragraph. She would read a paragraph. And then like anytime I heard footsteps upstairs, I would throw it in the drawstring bag, chuck it in the back of the closet.
Wow.
And like that was that. And so
most kids are like sneaking other things.
I know. Well, that's
their Bible.
I mean, growing up without faith, I think that it comes with so many different struggles, but I also like tell the girls too, like growing up with faith, you got to find your own faith too. So like find out what it means for you. So it goes both ways for sure. But in a way, I definitely had to fight for my faith. And then we'll go to high school. I went to Trabuco Hills High School my freshman year. And I thought to myself, high school is going to be it. This is going to be the funnest thing. I'm going to fit right in. Turns out I was met with so much failure.
So let me just interrupt you because I'm curious. Did you literally keep sneaking? Like your parents didn't know at this point through middle school, you kept going. At this point, your faith is getting more solid. And then you go into high school, you're still going on the side.
Yes.
Did you stop?
I went to HSM or a high school ministry. Yes, that's correct.
And they didn't know at that point.
No, I don't think so.
That's amazing. Okay. So I just want to clarify, like, was your path still in secrecy kind of, or did they kind of know at that point, okay, we can't control this. She really wants to pursue.
I don't know if maybe like every once and again, I would say like, oh, I'm going to go to HSM.
Got it.
Or, Big Joel, like my friend's dad is going to take us to the refinery. I don't know. I can't fully remember. Okay. But even still to this day.
Like totally out of like full on.
We still don't talk about it much to this day.
Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. So you go to high school, you're thinking it's going to be rad, as we would say, as my generation used to say.
Yes. I thought like, this is my big break. Like, this is my breakthrough moment. Like freshman year of high school is a big deal. And so I go to freshman year of high school. I try out for the soccer team. I run for ASB. I try to do all of the things, and I am just met with failure, right? Smack dab in my face. I didn't get the ASB position. I didn't make the soccer team I necessarily wanted to make. And I remember, I didn't have that strong of faith. Of course, I was curious, but I didn't know the stories in the Bible of the David versus Goliath, the Cain and Abel. Like I wasn't rooted. Yeah. And so of course I was curious and I wanted that, but I wasn't rooted. And so when I was met with failure, I thought to myself, okay, that means I'm a failure. I didn't have the understanding of, oh, like this isn't God's plan for me. Like his plan is so much bigger. Oh, like you are a child of God. You are so much more. No, I felt, okay, I met with this failure. I'm a failure. And I think that that's when my faith kind of went like douche, like
Okay.
under. And so I remember, my freshman year was very like filled with so much anxiety. I couldn't really explain it. And I didn't really know I had anxiety until one day freshman year, I was sitting just at lunch. And all of a sudden this big panic attack came over me and I couldn't shake it. Like I was uncontrollably crying. My hands were shaking. My feet were tingling. It felt like I couldn't breathe and the whole world was crashing down on me. At the time, I was also going to therapy just because I was feeling so heavy. Like I was just like, there's something wrong. Like I don't feel good. I'm not having a good experience. And I remember texting my therapist, hey, like this just happened to me at school. I'm not sure what like triggered this. I couldn't even tell you what is exactly wrong. I just feel heavy and I can't stop breathing. My hands are tingling, all this stuff. Well, it turns out she says, okay, come in, whatever, the next day. I go in and she says, so you have generalized anxiety. And I go, okay, Deborah, that's awesome. Now help me out because I'm struggling. And so she would try and help. And it was like, think positive thoughts, go into the blah, 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 and feel your senses and all this stuff. And while sure it helped for a season, I couldn't say it was an everlasting thing. Gotcha. So then I decided, okay, Taruko's not working out for me. I kind of dug myself into a hole. I mean, I wore the baggiest clothes, a hood over my face. I was just miserable. Okay, I would sit upstairs outside of my English class, who was my next class right after lunch. And I would sit upstairs right outside of her class by myself on the floor. I was such a vegetable of a human.
Did your family know? Did your parents know that you were struggling?
Yes. And I think that that's why they were also like, okay, let's put you in therapy. And they were definitely like, so I was able to be honest with them and tell them how I was feeling. And then they put me in therapy. And then I was like, I still am not doing good. I want to transfer schools. And they were totally supportive of that as well. Gotcha. And so
they were the ones who were like, okay, we're going to give you treatment basically. So let's go to the therapist and figure this out. So you did feel like you could go to them and talk to them about other stuff going on. Just your faith, you had kind of dropped it for the time being because you were too overwhelmed with everything else.
Totally.
You weren't free to have your faith. Really, you were having to still kind of sneak it. So it ended up going by the wayside. Okay. So that's the end of freshman year then you transferred?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. End of freshman year, I ended up transferring to Mission Viejo High School. And I took this as my clean slate. I'm going to start fresh. I'm going to start new, and ended up finding a really great group of friends who I thought at the time, and then joined ASB, was in ASB right away. I really found my footing. It was an amazing experience. I don't honestly remember where my faith was at, but I do remember telling myself, this is your clean slate. You're not going to stick out like a sore thumb. Whatever you do, fit in, say yes.
Oh, wow.
And so I told myself I never want to feel like a black sheep. I never want to feel isolated and sit outside my teacher's door on the floor ever again. And so I was just like, go with the crowd, go with the crowd. I kept telling myself, just go with the crowd. And so sophomore year was really just figuring out, how can I fit right in? How can I make this an easy transition? How can I survive high school? Yeah. And ended up doing that. And then junior year was the year COVID hit. Okay. And this was also the year, as you can think, you're 17 years old. You have a lot of time on your hands. You're not really at school. My friend group ended up getting in with the wrong crowd, and we kind of all mixed. And so our weekends were filled of drinking and partying and, doing,
all the
I don't want to say normal high school things, but doing
typical cultural high school things. Drinking,
yes.
Vaping now, and probably pot, all those things.
Right.
Were you in school online during this COVID time? Or was it?
We were all online. Yeah, we were all online. I was at a public school, so they were just like, we can't force you to come to school. And I was like, perfect. yeah, you're not going to force me to come to school. Like, I'm good. And
Okay, well,
so
that whole year, like I know COVID hit obviously in whatever that was, March, but in the end of that year, but then you started the next year at Mission Viejo online, or were you
so
starting?
that would be my senior. Yeah. So
That's right,
junior year.
Sorry. I
Yes.
made you behind. Yeah, got it.
Yes. So junior year, I was there half the year, and then COVID hit, and then we kind of just got into this wrong crowd.
Got it.
And yeah, I remember making some really poor decisions. Again, I never wanted to feel like that black sheep. I never wanted to feel, different. And so I just said yes. I said yes. I'm your yes girl, whatever. Let's go. Let's do this, whatever. Then that transferred over summer going into senior year, and then senior year hit, and I actually ran to be ASB president, and I was ASB president of my school, but also school is so awesome, go to school, but I also wasn't at school, and I was living a completely different lifestyle than what people really saw me as. And I ended up.
Does that mean that senior year, were you guys back actually on campus, but you were online, or was people still?
So you could go half and half. Okay. I decided that I wasn't going to go at all. And so maybe I went like once or twice just in the beginning, but then I'm like, wait, nobody can make me go to school, so I'm not even going to go to school.
And so why did you not want to physically go and be with friends? Were your friends not going? Because I always wanted to be with my friends, but your friends...
Yeah. My friends they didn't go to school. I got really into the gym and was like, I'm going to go to the gym and be on school and all this.
Got it. So it was like a college student at that point.
You're
do your classes online and then go live your life. And
right.
Okay.
And they couldn't like force us to turn on our camera. Like there was just too much freedom, it felt like, that I didn't even like have a senior year. Like my friends, our friend group threw like our own fake homecoming because we didn't have one, like.
I mean, I love that you guys got creative and it's like you wanted the best of it and you didn't want the hardest, worst parts.
Oh, yeah. 100%. 1,000%. And so
president, even from afar.
Yes, which is nuts. Like I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wait, what is happening? Like So I didn't even go back to school, really. Maybe I literally went to campus 5 times, maybe, like to my English class, because my friend was in and we're like, we have nothing better to do.
So did you apply to colleges while you were senior year remote? Okay, so you did. Okay.
And so, I mean, like that was like the hardest part was take me who's just getting into partying and drinking, take me who my senior year, I ended up struggling super bad with an eating disorder. And I was so insecure in my own skin and who I was that like what people saw of me was just a front. Like it was so fake. It wasn't like how I was really feeling. Like I was like smiling all happy to everybody, but deep down I felt so empty, so like isolated and alone. And
little depression at that point, would you say? Like, or was it just anxiety?
I think it was just anxiety. And I think I felt so out of control in who I was that when I was struggling with eating and all that stuff, it was like, this is me taking control back.
Got it. Okay.
And so
that was brewing, like in the middle of your senior year. You're applying to schools, you're hiding your eating disorder, you're doing all the things that you're probably not supposed to be doing, like drinking, all that stuff with friends, but you're still kind of engaged in school because there's leadership there. But you haven't picked up your faith again through that senior year. And did your parents, like, where were your parents during this time? Like, was there anyone in your life that was like, were you in therapy still, or were you telling your parents?
I wasn't in therapy. Therapy only lasted my freshman year because when I felt like, okay, I don't have these big, bad panic attacks anymore, therapy reminded me of a really bad time in my life that I was like, I'd never want to go back. I'm not that ill anymore. Like, I'm not that bad.
Got it.
And so, I think it's hard because...
But not necessarily all of it.
Totally. And I think my parents also, like, they weren't those kinds of parents that like would check my location 24/7. They kind of just like let me be independent and let me be. And I don't want to talk poorly on them because I truly like love them with all of my heart.
Yeah. We know you're our parents. Yeah.
Totally. But I don't know that, I don't think to the extent they fully knew what was happening.
I just want to say as a mom, that's kind of the tricky part is that like when you have the temperament of each child, they're different. And so some are okay if you know what's going on and they want to share, and some are super independent. And so as parents, you're trying to, like, if you're conscious, you're trying to be like, okay, this one likes me being connected to what they're doing and touching base, and they touch base, and this one doesn't. And so I understand that they knew you were independent, you were strong-willed, and they were like, okay, we're going to let her. But at the same time, they were trying to help when you needed it. So I'm guessing that they were doing the best they knew to do based on who you are and what you were telling them and showing them.
Totally.
Were you still dressing like with the hooded stuff, or were you out of all that once you switched schools?
I was so promiscuous. I was dressing like I changed. I was like literally like so not modest. I look back at pictures and I'm like horrified. I'm like, oh my gosh. I would walk out of the house like that. So yes. Yeah, no, I was, yes, you could tell like from each season of the way that I dressed, like how I was really doing. Like I was like, when I dressed hooded, I was like, okay, she's depressed. She doesn't want to talk to anybody. And then when I'm dressing promiscuous, she's so empty inside. She needs the attention from other people. Like,
so wise. That is so wise. Yeah. Okay.
So So taking all of the whole, we're struggling with insecurity and feeling so empty and less than inside, dealing with, or, partaking in the partying and that kind of culture of life. And then throwing in, okay, you're so insecure, you're so empty, now go pick where you want to go to college was such a bad mix for me. And I told myself, I want to get out of California. I want to get out of Orange County. I'm going to go rush a big sorority and I'm going to go to a big SEC school. That was the plan. That's what I wanted to do. So I ended up going to University of Mississippi, which is so nutso. So nutso. I don't regret it at all. I say it was my best worst scenario that I could have ever made, because Ole Miss taught me so much about myself that I am forever changed and grateful for. But holy cow, I could have gone without going there.
Because of what you're about to share. Yeah.
Yes. So then I rushed a sorority that wasn't based upon my morals and what I wanted. I rushed a sorority based upon the ranking. And I told myself, I'm going to rush the top house. I'm going to get and rush the top house, and I'm going to join a sorority, and it's going to be it for me. It's going to be over. We're all good. And I did that. And I ended up making some really poor decisions that first week of school. And I remember being super hungover and then having to do homework. So I drove myself to the library and I parked my car, and then I'm walking up to the library, and this is where God met me.
So is this beginning of the year? This is beginning?
Very beginning. First month of school. I remember, and this was so crazy because it finally felt like I was not under my parents' roof anymore, that I was free to believe whatever I wanted to believe again. It was free to do what I wanted to do. And I told myself I can make or break, what I want to do with my life. And do I want to spend it at a bar drinking or, forgetting the nights away, or do I not? And I remember walking to the library so hungover, so just like defeated at my decisions. And I remember God literally stopped me in my footsteps. I literally was walking and then fully stopped. And there was 2 ways to go to the library. And I just felt so clearly God say, Kyia, you can go this way and follow the world, or you can go this way and follow me. The decision and the choice is up to you. And I remember looking up and being like, God, I choose you. I choose you. So I remember walking this one specific way to the library. And from that moment on, I haven't had a lick of alcohol ever since.
What?
Yes. No. Yeah. I completely was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do it. And I'm never going to look back. And I ended up finding a church out there that I love so much, that I hold so near and dear to my heart. I did their college nights and then never missed a Sunday. And I think that that's really where my relationship with the Lord became really deep and real, because I sacrificed so much, right? Like you think about the Thursday, the Friday, the Saturday nights where everybody's going out to the bar and drinking. And I'm telling myself, no, like this is the first month of school. I'm not drinking anymore. Like this isn't what I want to do. I love Jesus. And so really just like finding, okay, how can I have purpose? And I remember feeling like I want to start a podcast. I want to do podcasting. And so at that same library in the basement, they had these like studio rooms where it just had like a little recorder, computers and whatever, and you could rent it out for free. So I remember the Thursday, the Friday, the Saturday nights when it was super lonely, my roommate was gone out to the bars and everybody was out drinking. I remember going to the library, renting out these rooms for a few hours and just like dream and like think of what do I want to podcast about? What do I want the name to be? What does the thumbnail want it to look like? And that was the very beginning of the year. And again, I was met with a lot of trials and tribulations, and I tried so hard to make Ole Miss work. I really did. I got involved in their TED Talks. I got involved in their ASB. I got involved in, I even in front of my whole sorority, which was 250 girls in my pledge class alone.
Big.
I remember we had like this emergency meeting. It was like all the freshmen, PC 21, come to the chapter room. And so I remember we had this emergency meeting. All of us had to go to the chapter room. And we all got reprimanded in a way for not being sisterly because we didn't all invite each other to the parties, or we weren't all in group chats. And people felt like we were cliquey, and our sorority did not want to be a cliquey sorority. And they said, does anyone have anything they want to say? And I go, I do. So I raise my hand and they go, yeah. I go, well, I just wanted to say that if anyone wants to do anything sober, I would love to do anything sober with you guys. And I said, I have a car. If you guys are in a pinch or in an unsafe position, give me a call. Like I'm here for you. And I care so much about you guys. And I don't think that we have to be drunk to have fun, basically is what I said.
Wow.
And I remember like, I told myself like, I'm going to give this a shot. I really want to find community here. I really want this to work out. And girls came up up to me. Wow, that was so brave of you to say. Thank you for saying that. Yeah, let's go on a walk. Let's go get coffee. Let's do blah, blah, blah. Let's go get lunch. And I was like, this is great. This is awesome. The next day comes around. Crickets, no texts. Nobody reaches out. Nothing. And I was like, okay, Lord, like I tried so hard and it's clear and obvious. Of course, I'm never going to tell somebody like what you can and can't do with your own college experience. But this was my college experience too. And that wasn't me. And so I made the decision that I was going to move back home. And my parents were so devastated because they didn't go to college. They didn't have the opportunity to go. And their dream was, I'm going to provide my kids with a higher education.
Right.
And they did that. And they gave me this beautiful opportunity to go. And then for me to tell them, actually, I'm going to start a podcast. I'm going to start talking about Jesus. I'm going to start going to church, and I'm going to move back home was like, what are you doing? Like, no. Like, this isn't the way I raised you. Wow. And that was like such a hard conversation with my family. I came up with like a slideshow presentation on Zoom with them when I was at Ole Miss of all the reasons why I'm not going to Ole Miss.
You're so intentional. It's just so awesome to see your intentionality with all of this stuff. Like
I mean, for me, I'm like, I am a determined, like if there's a will, there's a way. I'm going to like get to the other side. And so I ended up moving back home, and then I signed up for online school, and I was just like, this is so not me. Like I feel so empty and trapped in like what my parents wanted me to do. And I was like, this is just like, I feel restricted. And so I remember, and I didn't bring up Jake because but he's not like he is a part of my story, but like not my face story, but we were dating freshman year all the way throughout. And I remember he went to Boise
all the way.
Yes, freshman year of high school, all the way to.
So he's really watched you grow and change. And that's probably a whole nother podcast on that part of your relationship, right? Of him seeing you be a believer and then kind of letting that go. And then, and he's together the whole time.
Totally. And we've never broken up either. And it's been like the sweetest thing to endure and go through hard things, but also like him to see how far I've come and how much I've changed, I think is really beautiful. And so I remember he went to Boise State. So this is my sophomore year of college, and I am a good 3 days into college, and he was already back at Boise State. And I decided 3 days into community college, I'm not going to do school.
Okay.
I didn't tell my parents that because we were able to get a refund on all my classes the next week, up till the next week. So I was like, okay, I have time to like really let this marinate. And I remember going and visiting him to Boise, and on my flight home, I knew that that day that I flew home, I was going to sit down and tell my parents I'm going to drop out of school. And I sit on the airplane to go back home after I visited him in Boise, and I sit next to this little 6-year-old girl and then her mom, and we look over and we're like, oh, hi, whatever. And I start playing rock, paper, scissors with the little girl, and the mom's like, do you live in Idaho, or what are you doing in Orange County? And I said, oh, I'm actually going back home. And I'm actually, I don't know why I shared this with her. I don't know why I shared this with her, but I did. I said, I'm actually like kind of nervous because I'm going to go tell my parents I'm dropping out of school.
Oh,
and
my
she's
gosh.
Like, and she's like, can I ask, what do you want to do instead? And I said, oh, well, I'm starting a podcast, and I want to really like go in deep with that. And yeah, I'm going to do a podcast. And she goes, I'm a podcaster. And she goes, I go, oh, really? What do you podcast about? She goes, I talk all about biblical truths and myths. And I go, what? And so we are just talking the entire time, the whole 2-hour flight. I'm playing with her little girl. So her name is Esther, and she lived in Orange County. Her in-laws live in Orange County, but her family moved to Idaho.
Gotcha. Okay. Wow. What a great connection.
So she ended up praying over me on like as we're descending. And I remember it was like this insanely beautiful, powerful prayer. And I just felt this peace. I was like, when I land, I feel ready and armed and strong enough to tell my parents I'm not going to do school. And so I did. I landed, I told them, and they said, okay, well, you're financially cut off from these things. This isn't like what we want for you, but you're going to have to learn the hard way, basically. And it was a way better conversation than I could have ever thought or dreamed of. And even still, like, God is so good, because even that day I'm upstairs in my room crying. I'm like, God, how am I going to make this work? They're like, you have 30 days to make ends meet. And I'm like, God, I don't know. Like, this is hard. Like, is this the right decision? Am I crazy? Like, am I acting in the heat of the moment? And then I get a ding on my phone. And it's my old boss from senior year of high school that I worked at a little boutique. And she said, hey, Kai, I'm not sure if you're home, but if you are, we need people to work. And it was just like so clearly God was like, here, like, I'm going to cover you for the time being. Like, here you go. And
so awesome when he works this clearly.
Right.
It's really, it's what you go off of. It's like, okay, like he is guiding every step of this, and then you can trust it.
Totally, like sitting next to a podcaster, a Christian podcaster, and then like getting basically a job while I'm laying in bed at 8 p.m.
Yeah.
Yes. And so
it's not always that clear, but when it is, it's so comforting, and it's so nice when his timing matches up with your need.
Totally.
You're like, thank you. Thank you.
Well, not even only that, but then I'm like, okay, like I'm on fire at this point. I'm like, thank you, Jesus. And then I met with the hardest year of my life. That year that I was like, all for Jesus and making big moves. And he showed me so clearly, like, here are the steps. Like, I have you. I'm here for you. I'm with you. I am met with, okay, now I'm working 3 jobs from 4 a.m. and waking up, and I get home at 12 a.m., 7 days a week.
Oh my gosh. Kyia.
This was during the first year that I led Emily's
Bible study, 7th grade. Oh my gosh. Like, that's insane.
So then I'm like, it was the hardest year of my life. I was working 3 jobs, overworking myself, taking naps in my car from job to job. And then that year was even more straining on my family, right? Like, they totally like didn't agree with the path that I was taking, and that took such a strain on our relationship. And I mean, my mom and dad even, and we went like almost 3 to 4 months of just not even speaking, and we were in the same household.
I do remember that a little bit. Like, I kind of remember glimpses of that, and Cal telling me some of what you were going through at home, just like briefly. And I just remember praying for you and thinking like, okay, look, I want her parents to just soften and like
Totally.
guide you as opposed to like come down on you or separate themselves from you.
Totally.
And so were you back, just to make sure I'm understanding, when you came back and after you told them I'm dropping out of school, were you active in your faith? Like, I know you were following Jesus, but like, were you at a church? Were you studying? Like, how were you, what did your faith journey look like when you decided to take that road to the library and follow him? What did you start doing in your faith at that time to nourish yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I bought, Christine Kane, like her like Bible study books, and like she walked you through, like read this, and it was just like a workbook of that. I did that. I was reading my Bible. I was going to church every single Sunday by myself too, which was also so sad and so crazy. But yeah, I was definitely active in praying and just being desperate. I was dreaming so big. I was working 3 jobs. I was just starting my podcast. I was just starting to lead the R12 group or like the little Bible study group.
Yeah, the Bible study group.
But even, I guess, let's just say even before that, I remember being so desperate. And I filmed a podcast episode about being lonely and how we can use this lonely season to really get to know ourselves and get to know God and like use this season for good, because he works all seasons for good. And I remember I met Cal at the gym, and her and I were talking at the gym. We totally hit it off. We hung out. She listened to that lonely podcast episode because it was like my latest one. And she was like crying. She like voice memoed me. She's like, I just listened to this. And I realized I never felt lonely in my life, but I feel kind of lonely. All my friends are at school. And she's like, what you said, really? Like, whatever. And so we totally hit it off. And then that also came from a prayer in that season of feeling lonely. I said, Lord, I just need somebody. I want to be somebody. I want a best friend. I want somebody who loves you. And I'm desperate. And I just kept praying that prayer. Like I was like desperate because I was so alone and working the 3 jobs and trying. I was so lonely. And then up came Cal, like this beautiful gift.
So awesome.
And my maid of honor, my like love her like with all of my being and more. Like we relate and have related on so much. Her story is so incredible. And I remember the first time we like hung out, we just shared our own testimonies, and my jaw was on the floor of how far she's come and how incredible she is. And so totally like my gift. And then we were leading the Bible study together. And I remember even specifically, like, there's this one time I was on my way to group, but me and my mom me and my family got in like this really huge tiff, and I felt so alone, so isolated. I'm bawling my eyes out all the way to Cal's house, and I'm like struggling. This is so hard. And then I, go over to Cal's, and I'm like, okay, we're all good. Like I'm gonna get through this. But it wasn't, I don't want to say like I was faking a smile, but doing that Bible study every single day, Cal and I would say that just filled us up so much. I can't even explain it to you. Like how much like these girls even want to know Jesus, but how we can like just be somebody for them and be a voice. It was like filling me up till I overflowed. And so
being a teacher, you were being a teacher of his truth, and you were getting fed, feeding them. And that's the amazing part of like being a part of his family, right? And knowing, getting to know Christ and sharing him. I think whenever you try to be a leader, whatever that could be, even if it could be a big leadership position, or it could be something small, but you're still leading the way. When you have to be responsible for other people, it does make you internalize like scripture and Bible stories and Jesus' gospel much deeper. It's totally so good for you when you're, I don't know, just for your own faith growth. And
totally
it's awesome that you had the foresight to be like, sure, I could lead them when you were struggling yourself. And that's so much of like my life. I felt that too. Like when I'm in pain or struggling or I don't understand, and then I step out in faith to go help somebody else or teach somebody else. Or it's like you said, it comes from being desperate, and he'll inspire you to help somebody, and then it helps you along the way. So I love that you were getting fed by feeding other people.
Totally. I mean, and even too, like sometimes like I walked into like Bible study, I'm like, they've heard all of like the beginning Bible stories of the Cain and Abel, the David and Goliath, way earlier than I did. Like they probably were 5 and I just heard it 2 years,
Yeah.
And so I was a little bit intimidated, but I was like, Lord, just give me the words and the pose. And Cal and I, like, we just loved it so much.
And they would never have known, like, that's what's great is that feeling of like, can I be used? I don't feel equipped. Like I have that now on this podcast.
Yeah.
Like I don't have anything to offer. I mean, I'm just like everyone else trying to figure it out, like trying to follow Christ and, failing half the time. But that's what the enemy uses, right? To stop us from answering the call that the Holy Spirit gives on us. And it's just really cool to see in the journey so far that you've shared with us, to see how you have kept going back and kept desiring and being willing, because so much of just following Christ is just the willingness to say, maybe this isn't the right way. And I kind of knew something wasn't right. I'm going to try this again. I'm going to try him again. And I don't feel equipped. I don't feel like I know what I'm doing, but I'm going to try anyway. It's so interesting how God uses kind of like our insecurities. If we're willing, he takes it and makes us secure in him to do it anyway.
Totally. I mean, even like, I always think about this. I'm like, even when some people like tell me like, well, if God was so good, how could he let this happen to me? Or how could he, let this be in my life? But I think so many times we take the hardships and we like, some people get bitter and they turn away from God. But I was so intentional in my story of like, no, like I'm going to take what's hard and I'm going to get better. Like I want to really like pass this test of faith. Yes. I always thought of whatever hardship came my way, I was like, this is a test from God. And I want to show him how strong my faith is. So I'm going to
you're not wasting. You're not wasting the situation you are in.
Totally.
We're going to see how can it be made for good, even if you didn't know him that well.
Totally.
And I think some of that is like your temperament, because you're obviously like really strong-willed, but like you used it in the wrong way, because that's what Satan intends. He intends to use our weaknesses in the wrong way to damage ourselves and damage our relationships and our thoughts and or whatever it is that we're involved in our life. But when we give it to Christ, he can use it in the healthy way.
Right.
So it's just so inspiring to watch you at your young age. Because how old are you now? Are you 22, 23?
22.
22. To see you starting your life like that. Like you're starting with that knowledge. Like that is wisdom. Do you know what I mean? Like that. I'm 52 and I didn't have that wisdom at 22. I wasn't following him at all like I am now. I didn't know him like I thought I mean, now that I know that I should have known him, I just wasn't a believer at all because I wasn't raised Christian. So it's so neat to like witness young women coming out of their teens and trusting and just saying like, I don't really know for sure if I'm doing it right. I dropped out of school. I mean, you probably never wanted that story for yourself. And there's probably shame in that. But then you're like, but this isn't fitting for what I feel like God's calling me to do.
Totally.
So the courage of that, I just find it so courageous. I'm not saying that, that's always the path you're going to say for people, is because typically we want people to go get an education. Are you back in school, by the way? I thought you were at some point.
I did go back to school and I got my preschool teaching credential.
Okay.
Not that I'm a preschool teacher right now, but I did do that.
You went back into, so I mean, and you're not saying that's necessarily everybody's.
No, not at all. Like that's like the big thing about it is like, I believe in a higher education. I believe that college can transform people. Was it my specific story?
Yeah.
No, not necessarily, but that doesn't, like Jake went to college and he finished and that was exactly what he needed for him. Right. And if he would have said, I think I'm going to drop out of school, I would have told him like, you're nutso. Like you do really well in school. Your brain is like operated this way, like finish school. And so totally.
So, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like you went through a really hard trial at a really young age. Many of them be feeling insecure in high school, which who doesn't feel, I mean, most of us go through that in middle school, high school, finding yourself. How do I fit in? But what's interesting about your story, Kyia, is like you had a lot of self-awareness from a young age, because like you said that you were having thoughts of like, do whatever it takes to fit in. Like you were intentionally like, whatever it takes, I'm going to make sure I'm not different.
Right.
And so that's just like super unique in that like not everybody has that kind of like, I don't want to say ambition because that's not the right area you want to have ambition, but you were just so determined to like be okay. And that's that same fire in you that's now leading the charge.
Totally. And I think my parents did a really good job as raising me independent. Like they were very just like, they worked full time. So I would walk to school, or my friend would take me to school, and then I'd walk home, and then I would make myself my afternoon snack, go get outside, play with worms, play with the neighborhood kids, and then my parents would come home at 5:30. Like I was very much so like free to be and do, and I am so grateful for that independence.
For sure.
Do I, like, when I raise my own kids, am I going to give my kids like that much space? I don't think so. Yeah. But I think that that's kind of where that, like, all of that independence kind of came from. Right. But especially also to being a woman in faith, I grew very hard, right? Like I was like, I can do everything on my own. I am able and strong, and I can, and which I can do. But now that I'm getting married, I'm like, I don't think I want to. Like, I do want to be taken care of. And so it's like kind of unlearning some of those patterns even too, of like, when is it time to be strong-willed and when is it time to be taken care of?
I think that's so beautiful, because I think that's a lot of what Christ teaches us, is that you can be empowered and you can roar and you can do all the things, but you can also receive, and you can also be softer, and you can be in the background. And I just heard a podcast today, actually from Charlie Kirk's wife. I'm going to start following her. I think it's called Midweek Rise. And it's really cool. She has these meditations, and just how the softness of like the true servant leader is sometimes that person who's like washing the feet of people. It's not the voice out in front. It's not the person who's on the stage, or the person who gets the MBA and who does the perfect, all the structured things of high school and college, and then the best executive job. Like, it's not always that person who has that resume. It's the person who's quietly doing the work of like folding the laundry, or praying for their friend, or bringing the meals to a friend, or just in the back. Like, it's just such a beautiful way to be. And when you just said you also want to be taken care of, like, you're allowing that soft part. You've really coming into yourself as an adult woman. Like, I can be this person who's strong and goes after my things, and I can also let myself let Christ like give to me through my husband or my best friend. It's just so cool.
Even like, I remember when Jake and I were dating in high school, he would try to open the door for me, right? Every girl's dream. And I would say, I can get my own door. Thanks. I'm a strong, independent woman. I don't need somebody to open my door. I'm all good. And then he stopped opening my car door. And now I'm like, why aren't you opening the car door? Like,
that's going to be your whole marriage. Sorry to say.
I know, but
every little things like that.
I mean, like, I told him like, okay, like, no, actually I want to be, we keep having these conversations that like, I am wanting to be taken care of. I need to be softer. I want to be more gentle. And I feel like I finally am at that point where I can embrace that and feel that and be at that point.
And I feel that from you too. Like, I feel like you seem just more settled and comfortable in your skin, even in just the past 4 years that I've known you. Like, when I met you, I didn't realize to the degree of kind of like chaos in the home, or like you had just left school. Like, I knew a little, but I didn't know to the degree, because you're just showing up and serving my daughter, and you look great and you're adorable, and the girls loved you. And I was like, oh, they're fantastic. I didn't know. And I would say, can I pray for you? And you wouldn't necessarily go there and tell me all the things, but you told me a couple little snippets. Yeah. But then as the years have gone on, I've just watched you, like, you're just really blossoming into your own person who seems settled. I know you got through a miracle with Jake, with his health, and after you got engaged. And so just to wrap up your faith journey through today. So you didn't go back you went back to school part-time to get your credential in, or was it a degree in, is it early childhood education?
Yeah, my credential.
Okay. And so you did that, and is that where you currently, I know you do some nannying, but do you think you'll go back into work into that field?
I think eventually. I think right now, I mean, Jake and I are getting married in November, and working at a preschool is very financially not my best bet. And so Jake was like, okay, like, I love that you love this so much, and which I do, but he's like, you need to put your time and effort into something else until we can get up on our feet, and then you can go back.
Fair.
And so
Fair. Yeah.
the goal and the dream would definitely be to teach a JK class. I love 5 and 6 year olds, 4, 5 and 6, favorite age. But yeah, right now, I think to wrap up my faith journey, I mean, let's say me and my family, we are totally so much better, and there's so much more peace within us. I think that they know that they haven't lost me, that I'm still Kyia.
Yeah.
But
so that was their fear, hun? Was that their fear, that the brainwashing, that Christianity would change who they need to be? Okay.
Totally. Like, I think that and the way that they grew up, and I want to like honor that this is their experience, that the way that they grew up was like Christians were said one thing, but then acted a completely different way.
Which is fair. That happens all the time. Like, none of us are perfect.
Totally. And they became very calloused and think of religion as a cult in a way. And so
I understand. Yeah, I understand.
And so my parents were really scared that they would lose me. My mom told me when that really hard season, she said, I lost you as a daughter because you're going to church. And that broke me, because I'm like, but I'm still me, but I'm so much better, Mom. Like, don't you see that? Like, I'm better. I'm like, I'm chasing something great. I have love. I have joy. I have like, Mom, don't you see? And so I think finally when she, came to understand that I've changed in so many great, beautiful ways. I'm not the person that, I didn't take her life path that she wanted for me, but actually have taken a completely different one. And I think she sees the beauty in that now.
Yes.
I also don't hold resentment towards them. I think that when I was fully like, I am chasing Jesus, 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 Jesus only, I really looked at them as like different, of like, oh, like, you don't understand me. I'm going to turn my back too. And I became very resentful of them not being in faith. And then the way that there was just so many things. And so I also wasn't a perfect human in the whole midst of all of it.
Yeah.
And almost in a way shoved it down their throat and was like, and they got sour at that too. And so I think now we've all come to this like, okay, like I'm not going to physically go out and change them, but I'm going to pray for them. And whether they know that or they don't, that's my prayer, that they would come to know Jesus and I could spend eternity with my parents and my family. But I don't think, again, we're so much better and so much greater. My mom is so excited. She is like right behind me, so excited for this wedding.
I'm so happy to hear that. Like, that's an answered prayer, because
totally.
I mean, I do remember feeling like, Lord, like help soften their heart to know that like how you're changing is in such beautiful ways. Yeah. But I loved getting the insight that they were afraid they were going to lose you to a cult or whatever, whatever preconceived notions they have about Christians, which I get. Like, whatever religion it is, we always have preconceived notions and real life experience of things not, being hypocritical and not going what we think they're touting they're going to be a certain way, and then they're the opposite. And that's happening today in our culture still. That's just the old story, right? That goes round and round, the hypocrisy of different beliefs. So I love that you guys have worked through that. I'm really grateful for you and for your young heart that you are still connected with your mom and dad in a beautiful way. And you've honored them. You never, anytime we would have talked about any struggles to some degree, you were never like harsh on them in terms of like the way you would talk about it. Like, you were always respectful that like it's been hard, but you just did a beautiful job of not being like that gossipy, ugly, like, which is so hard to do, especially as a young adult. So
but I also wanted to show my girls, like, that little Bible study, that like you can disagree with your parents, but there's a lot of love there.
Yeah. And so like maybe God used that little group to like help you.
Oh my gosh. They were the greatest gift for me. 100%. They kept me accountable. Like, when they would talk about, hardships with their mom or hardships with their family or hardships with this, I was like able to, be a beacon of light of like, it's okay to fight with mom and dad, but at the end of the day, they're mom and dad and you love them and you respect them so deeply. And like, you don't want to, ruin that like beautiful thought, which I always have told my R12. Every time I've shared my story at the R12 meetings, I told them that this organization, I said, girls, I want to speak to you for a second. I said, I just want to let you know that you guys are living in my answered prayer. Like, you guys are at a place, a where you guys are like serving the Lord together. You guys have a praying mom. And can you just hear me when I say that this is a gift? Although sometimes it may be like, oh, I have to go to an R12 meeting, or I have to go to this, or I have to go sacrifice, hanging out with my friends on a Friday night, and I have to go to a service event, whatever it looks like. I said, but this is an answered prayer. Like, this is such a gift. Like, I wish this is like my biggest, deepest prayer, to serve alongside my mom. Like, can you imagine how awesome that would be? And I said, and moms, you are doing such a gift for your daughter of raising them in faith and keeping their faith strong and alive, and being able to pray and love Jesus alongside them is such a beautiful gift. So being an R12, I'm like, this is like, yes. Like, this is what I stand for. This is so important. This is so beautiful, because I didn't have that,
That's super powerful. It's super powerful. And to be honest, it's like feels rare, because like in where we are, I'm surrounded by a lot of Christian families. Not all my friends are Christian, but most of them are. So it's really rare to hear that your journey was actually the flip of that, where they didn't want you to kind of go into faith because they were worried what it would do to you. But what really struck me just now was that like God had you in an environment to not bash your parents when you could have, right? Because you're young and you're like, I'm strong and determined, and my parents are not supporting me physically or emotionally. You could have been maybe feeling really justified to be like, what the heck? Like, I'm trying to better myself, get myself out of drinking, get myself out of being with the wrong crowd, and they're not supporting me because my journey doesn't look like them. But then you weren't doing any of that because you were having to shepherd these girls and say, okay, I need to be more mature and like show them you can have differences and work them through. Like, it's making me think that maybe in my hardest things, I need to actually like go shepherd some people who are going through that, because it will give me a bigger perspective. Like, okay, don't get in the weeds, right?
Totally.
Like, learn the other perspective, even though I feel so justified to be angry. Anyway, that kind of hit me, like maybe
Totally.
he intentionally had you there. Like, so
Totally. It was such a gift.
Yeah.
And that was like also the thing too, of like, when I was going through that hardship, it wasn't like, okay, I need to do this and I need to do this and I need to go out and serve and do all this stuff because this is what I need to do. And then I would lead to burnout. It was like, no, like the heart posture and the heart intention was like, no, like this is like filling me up till I overflow. This is what I love to do. This is like an honor and like so graceful and amazing. And I think that I was able to steward to those girls because I was so in need of it, but also the heart posture was, yes, this is it. Like, this is filling me up so much. And I feel so much peace.
I didn't know any of that. Like, here I'm hosting half the meetings and I had no clue. That was like your internal world. Like, I'm so glad we're doing this just so that I can know what that time period when they were in middle school was.
Totally. Well, and also too, like, even when I talk about like things that I go through on the podcast or I went through, like, I always like to talk about it after I went through it. Like, I'm like, okay, I moved past it. It feels like a lot less, real and heavy. But yeah, I mean, so crazy. And God has just been so good. I mean, this whole wedding season and becoming a bride and talking and finding places where Jake and I are going to move. And I mean, it's just been so sweet. And then Jake going through just like a cancer miracle. I mean, God has just been so good and so faithful that I told Jake, I'm like, I think that Jake, I'm finally like reaping what I've sown for so long. I'm finally living in the season where I feel just happy and joy. And I feel like I've overcome so much, and he's using all of the things in my past for his greater good. I'm like, I think I'm finally reaping what I've been sowing. And this season is really special. There's just so many words.
The fruits of your labor are now, you're harvesting them.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
totally.
And you're them. And it's like, because you were white knuckling it for so long, where you're like, I'm trying to do right, like for these past couple of years. And then I'm sure when Jake's little health scare, well, wasn't little, it was huge. So just quickly before we end, you want to give me a little miracle story there with him?
Yeah. So back in 2024, yes, we were already engaged at this point. Oh, a year ago. It was fully a year ago because Jake came home for our 7-year anniversary and we just celebrated 8. So he came home for our 7-year anniversary from Boise. He was finishing up his senior year. And he was like, Kyia, look, I have this like lump on my neck. And he showed me and I like was mortified. I was like, Jake, that's not funny. Like, you need to get that checked out. He's like, it doesn't hurt or anything. He's like, I'm fine. And I'm like, no, no, like you got to go get that checked out. And I forced him to show his parents, and his parents were like, yeah, if it doesn't go away in like a few days, like we got to get that checked out. Because he was on the airplane and he was sitting like this, and then he felt like the lump. And so then didn't go away. And then at Boise, he went through all these doctors, ultrasounds, MRIs, everything, blood work, all of the things. They like measured it. He ended up flying home. He ended up flying home to go to like an ears, neck, and throat doctor. And they did a biopsy on it because it wasn't going away. And it was at a mass where it was considered could be cancerous. Like it's big enough to, like it's concerning. And so they did a biopsy, came back inconclusive. And then they had to go in for surgery and remove it to fully get enough cells, tissue, all that stuff to test it. So they tested it, came back as NLPHL, which is, let's see if I can remember this, nodular lymphocyte Hodgkin's lymphoma. Okay. And I was devastated. I remember I have the video of my face when the doctor told us. I was wearing sunglasses in the doctor's office. And I mean, just like seeing him go through surgery and then having to like the thought of like him being like knocked out from anesthesia and then in surgery was just like so rough and sad. And then Cal like came and picked me up from the hospital and we went on a drive. Like so sweet. And then he recovered. We waited a few days and that waiting was horrible. Just wondering. And we just looked at each other like, what do you think it is? And he's like, I think it's cancer. And I said, I think so too. And just like being able to cry together and like get it all out. And then, because his grandpa had cancer, his dad had, lymphoma. What is it called?
Oh, okay.
He had non-Hodgkin's and then Jake had Hodgkin's. Okay. And then, that's right. Anyway, so he gets it tested, came back as NLPHL. We went to the doctor and they said chemotherapy and radiation and immunotherapy is the way that we treat this. It has a really good survival rate. Like we believe he's going to be totally fine. And we were like, okay, that's great, but we want to go for a second and third opinion. Like we want, to make sure that this is right. And we go to these and they were like, yeah, it's looking, I can see where they think it's lymphoma. And then went to City of Hope, which can't say enough great things about City of Hope.
Yes, I know. I have read them so many times.
City of Hope.
Yeah.
They were like, but actually we want to test it on our own just to be sure. And so they received his mass from whatever.
Interesting.
The other hospital. And they said, actually, it's not coming out as lymphoma anymore. They're like, I think you're good to go.
What?
And they're like, yeah. And we're like, wait, what? We were like, wait, really? Because I mean, we went to prayer meetings. We went for prayer right after. We reached out to everybody we knew, asked for prayer. We were on our hands and knees like, Lord, like this is our engaged season. Like we don't want to go into marriage with cancer. Like how like scary is this and all this stuff. And his little cousin who's 12 was going through chemotherapy and radiation at the same time. And he was like just seeing like that poor 12-year-old, So we were just like on our hands and knees praying for him to say, oh, it's not showing anymore. We're like, wait, Lord, like what? Like I have it on medical record where it says it's cancerous, like what cells showed up. And where it says lymphoma positive and all this stuff. And then for them to then say, it was actually nuts. So, I mean.
That's so confusing because now you're like, who do I believe? We've got scientific evidence, apparently, that it is cancer. And then now this scientist doctor is saying, no, it isn't.
Not cancer. So then we're like, okay, well, we want to go for a third opinion. So we went to another hospital, Hoag. And they basically, he did another PET scan and it showed that like, I guess when they do PET scan, they also measure the UV where it's like, okay, like it could be something, but they're like, but we really do trust what City of Hope said. And we like took a deep dive at their like findings. And we also sent it to our highest NIA doctor to really like take a look at this tough case. And it really is coming back as like non-cancerous.
Oh my gosh. So thank God.
So then he could still feel like a lump, like there's still like a lump there. Okay. And he went for a 6-month PET scan and it didn't grow. It's still like there and it has a little bit of UV, but they're not concerned about it. So then in another 6 months, he'll have another.
Got it.
Just to keep checking and being sure.
Okay. So, but as of now, they don't think it's lymphoma, like a certain type of nodular lymphoma, but you still are managing and watching it just to make sure it doesn't change or whatever. Okay. That's, I mean, let's just hope that this was all, done and behind you and it disappears. Like, so the prayer is that it disappears on its own and it's a non-issue. There's nothing there.
Right.
Is it still as big? Is it smaller? Is he?
Sometimes he says like when he moves his neck, it bothers him and like feels really tight and bothersome. But he was like, I mean, when you're looking at him, you could see like a lumpy right here. But now it's just like, it's like lump, like a little like something if you're staring and like looking at him.
Got it.
But other than that, I mean, it was, yes.
This time to just trust that he's okay. And you can focus on getting married and focus on feeling healthy, because that's so just mentally you're like, right now, this is all we have is this moment. He's healthy. He's okay. And that's what matters.
Right. Totally. I mean, it was so like the scariest thing, but praise God, truly.
Well, I'll continue to pray for him. And so before we end, well, one, I would love to pray over you, but the last question I want to ask, well, one, thank you for like coming on and just being so raw and so open and telling us your story. And you're going to inspire so many, especially young girls, like young adults and teen girls with just like hang in there and just keep going back to Christ. And, he's with you no matter what you're going through, even when you can't feel it, just like trust him. So as you know, the podcast is called Room at the Table. So who would you like to know that there's room at the table for even them at the Lord's table?
My family. I think that would be like, I always say that is my biggest prayer. That is, yeah, I mean, I remember going to a church service and they were like, can you imagine like spending eternity away from the people who like aren't followers of Jesus? And they were like, you need to like go out and be disciples and like be a light. And that like wrecked me. And I'll never forget that. I'm like, I do not want to spend eternity away from my mom and dad, my brother and sister. So I think that I want them to know that there is room at the table for them.
Awesome. I love that.
Despite what they think or their past. Right. There's room.
And you know what? You're a beautiful example of living for Christ. And that's my hope, is that they look at you and they say, if our own flesh and blood can trust him and get through the trials she's already been through, you're still holding with your fiance's health. You know what I'm saying? It's not like you feel like we're 100% out of the wood. You're still like holding onto your faith and moving forward and trusting that they can see you, living a fruitful life. Like maybe, only Jesus can do it, can soften their hearts and make them willing, and that's all we can do. Is come to the table with a willing spirit and a humble heart. So you're awesome. You're just amazing. I love you so much. Thank you for being on. And we'll just close in prayer. So let me pray over you. Father God, I just want to thank you for this amazing young woman. She's on fire for you, and she has never strayed once she made that commitment and you set her on the right path for good. She has not wavered and she has not looked back. And so I praise you that you never left her side. You were faithful from day one, knowing that her heart was curious and hungry and searching. And you showed up when she needed you and just in time. And so we just honor you, Lord. We thank you. And I just honor Kyia for her vulnerability, for her willingness to admit that it's not always been easy. It's still not going to be easy, but that you are the truth, the way, and the life. And I'm just so thankful she's willing to come on to a podcast like this so that maybe another heart, another soul can realize how good you are, how faithful you are, and that we're never alone, and that there's room at your table, even for us when we fail, when we're confused, when we turn the other cheek and we turn away from you, God. There's still room at the table for us. And so we are so grateful for that, Lord. We are just humbly at your feet, just in awe of your goodness. And so I just ask you to bless Kyia, bless her in her new, soon to be wedding in November and their start of their life. I ask for prayers of safety and health for her and her fiance. And just let it be a joyful season of love and hope for them, God. It's in the name of Jesus we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you for being a total light. You're amazing.
Thank you for having me on. I feel so humbled that you would even ask. I'm so grateful.
Oh yeah, no, so good. It was an easy ask. I was like, oh, Kyia for sure. And I'm going to go email Cal as soon as this is done and just say you're next, sweetie. So, okay. Thank you so much for being here, sweetie.
Yes, thank you.
Blessings to you. Thanks for following along. Thanks for liking the podcast. And just remember, God loves you and so do I.